because
it gets so much. But I think,
look at
and
that
I think,
last
Drew, I
row.
think you might agree with me on both these points. One is, psychologically, losses in college football are harder to deal with than losses in pro football if you think your team has a chance to be a national champion, because it feels like, once you lose the second game, your season's over.
Sure.
And also, I love the fact that it's a backloaded schedule because it lets you get your feet wet. Because I do think it's important he gets off to a good start. I do think after a bad end to his college football career from a wins-losses perspective, losing 5 out of 7 or whatever they did down the stretch, that that having the Panthers and the Titans in those games early is good to almost guarantee a good start to the season. But yeah, Wilds, if they lose at home to Will Levis and Bryce Young, I don't think all of a sudden then they rally and make the Super Bowl. I just don't think they're going to lose those games.
I'm going to say, since this has some inklings of a summer fling, by the bye, you can have a new Super Bowl.
No, I would never do that.
Well, you just said it. You said it.
I understand, but they're not going to. They're not going to.
I'm just saying, if it happens.
Okay, thanks, buddy.
Weirder things have happened. People are going out on dates with takes and taking them to the Catskill. All right. The other big news in the NFL, Aiyuk on the move. The 49ers are now willing to listen to offers for the dynamic wide receiver who requested a trade weeks ago. Weeks ago, they said no way, and now all of a sudden, their tenor has changed. Aiyuk has yet to practice, but when he was on the field, he led the 49ers in receiving yards. Brew, would the 49ers regret trading Brandon Aiyuk?
Well, it depends on what the trade is. And there are reports out there that if they trade him to Cleveland, they get Amari Cooper and, a draft pick or two or whatever for him. I got to be honest, and I like Aiyuk. Aiyuk is a great receiver. He's been their best receiver the last 2 years,
I'm
at least statistically. Oh, if they get Amari Cooper for Brandon Aiyuk, I don't think Cooper's better than Aiyuk.
All right, that's what I was going to do.
But I think he's close enough.
Ooh.
Look at the numbers. And this is with Aiyuk had Brock Purdy, one of the most efficient quarterbacks in the league last year, throwing to him. Great numbers. Amari Cooper had 5 different quarterbacks throwing to him, the best of whom was Joe Flacco, who's how old? 39, whatever he is. I mean, Cooper can definitely give you similar production to Aiyuk. Debo is obviously always just kind of an injury concern, but I think Debo can step up. His numbers have probably went down a little because of Ayuk's emergence.
Yeah.
You still have Kittle. You still got McCaffrey. Jawan Jennings, looked great in the Super Bowl, and I think is a really good third receiver. And he's a rookie. I'm not going to, put the weight of the world on him, but Ricky Pearsall has looked good. He's a 4.4 guy in the 40. He's looked good in practice. He can definitely be a fourth receiver, and I think he can actually emerge and be better than that. We've seen rookies step in and play well. So if this is the trade, if you get a legitimate receiver like Cooper or that equivalent for Aiyuk plus draft picks, I love it because, you know, but that's what. Why would they trade and not get an Amari Cooper that type?
Well, that's because that's the only team they're talking to that has an Amari Cooper is the Browns.
Well, if they shouldn't trade him anywhere else.
If they don't, listen,
he's gonna play.
So I just want to make. I'm not trying to be difficult here. So are you saying that they would regret it? If they trade him,
if that's the trade,
no. But if it's Kindred born and a draft pick, or if it's to the Steelers,
they've been there, done that,
which would just be draft picks, right? So they would have to.
I would look. I would not write them off. We haven't made our picks for the NFC. I'm not saying they wouldn't be my pick. If you don't get a player
then
in
it's
return,
a downgrade.
yeah, I mean Aiyuk is a legitimately very good receiver.
Yeah.
So you would miss him. But it still wouldn't lead me to say, oh, they're done. They can't make the Super Bowl.
Okay, so I think I agree with I don't think this would eliminate them. I also think there is a small silver lining to trading Brandon Aiyuk, even if you don't get Amari Cooper, which is the information you would get before you have to make a franchise-defining decision on Brock Purdy. Now, which is last year, the Niners Avengers were shockingly healthy, and we can show it to you. They were there. None of them missed more than 2 games. Debo missed those 2. McCaffrey hasn't missed a game since he's been there. We were throwing out Week 18 when they had clinched. Right. Kittle was incredibly healthy. Aiyuk just missed the 1 game. So we haven't seen Brock ever without McCaffrey. I don't think we're going to need to. He's locked up long term. And we haven't seen him much since he's emerged without those two guys. And I do think that even if they keep Brandon Aiyuk this year, they know he's not going to be on the team a year from now. And you're going to have to make a decision on Brock Purdy. Not have to, but you might be making. So I do think that is a small silver lining.
And I'll give you that. I mean, you will if they lose Aiyuk, don't get a player of his caliber in return, and Purdy just looks terrible.
Right.
I don't think that would happen. But
it would still be if he looks great, it's information in that direction as well. It is just terrible timing. When the Chiefs traded Tyreek Hill, first of all, I was devastated in the moment, but I had kind of two silver linings. One was they had, at least they had already won a Super Bowl, so you felt like there wasn't a total missed opportunity with him. But also, it was before the draft. So the whatever you got back from him was going to end up being players on your team that year. Trading Aiyuk right now, and again, with any trade other than the Browns trade, you're just getting back draft picks and Kendrick Bourne level players, which no disrespect to your team, but he's not a difference maker. And by the way, I don't think Amari Cooper, the numbers are compelling, is nearly as good as Brandon Aiyuk. But I do think he would be.
I would take Aiyuk, but yeah. I mean,
he's been excellent. Your point about him being quarterback almost impervious last year is a good one. I think that the Niners have made a significant misstep in how they have handled this. Going from, if you were willing to trade him, there was a market before the draft, you didn't do it. If he's a first-round pick of yours that has only been on the upward trajectory, if you weren't willing to pay him market value, if you weren't, and it's not $35 million for Aiyuk, it's $30 to $32 million is what he's looking for. Now, people can say that's too much, but the Niners can't be out here offering him Devontae Smith money when Devontae Smith is his team's number 2 and 2 years from free agency, and Ayuk's on his 5th-year option. It's just not going to work. And so if you needed to realize where you were with him earlier, or truly hold the line and stick with your we're not trading him line instead of
why? Let's say they don't trade him.
Well,
he's gonna play. He wants his money and he wants to be a free agent next year.
Right.
If he doesn't get paid.
At this point, I think they're trading him. The fact that they are letting him go out there and seek out trades, the fact that they have already worked out, okay, we would accept this type of trade from this team, but now you have to work out the compensation. Once the train is that far out of the station, I think the player's gone. I think we don't know where he's gone to yet, and I think that's a mistake. If you're trying to win the Super Bowl,
I agree.
And if you were going to trade him, you should have done it months ago when you could have gotten draft picks now.
Yeah, this is your window with Purdy. I don't know why you're giving up assets. Is Micah taking a huge leap this year? That's next on First Things First and Fox Sports Radio on Sirius XM.